Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Trying to find my live so that we can follow comments. Okay. Good morning. And of course, this is because my camera, I have put my camera in a landscape format. My painting is going to look like it's sideways. Hopefully that's not a problem. You guys need to let me know if that becomes a problem for you all. It's easier for me to format it over for other options if I need to have it this way, but I don't want you to feel, I mean, this is y'all's group and I want to serve y'all. So just let me know. And of course, as soon as I push the live button, the landscapers came and they're out cutting grass, but it shouldn't be too long. So I apologize for the background noise. But I'm glad you're here. I'll put my hand here just to make sure that I'm live. As you hop on, say good morning to me and we will get started. I went ahead and did some masking fluid in a small area here where the water is spouting off, and all I did was just tap. I took my little silicone brush and I tapped along my lines to make sure that I didn't have full coverage. I don't want a straight line. I want it to be kind of wavy and open and shut a little bit there. I'm just going to make sure that's dry. Morning, Sherry. How are you this morning? I hope you're well. It's chilly here in North Carolina this morning, northeastern North Carolina. It's supposed to warm up, but it's a chilly morning. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to tell you, my yard is full of color and blooms. God is good. It's a wonderful, wonderful spring day here, and we're ready to go. So, as you hop in, say hello to me, and we'll get started. All right, so I went ahead. I'm on a pretty large pad. This is on Bohong, so they have odd sizes. This is a 15 by a 10 by 15. So it always requires me to get these professionally matted because I don't ever have any mats in the size here. But I wanted it to be larger than my standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that comes out of my printer. So in order for you to do that, just use your print option to print it off into 2 sections, and then you can put it together. It'll come out a little bit larger that way. You can do that as often, as much as you need to. Good morning, Linda. Welcome, welcome. How's the weather in Georgia today? All right, so we're going to start with our sky. We're going to go ahead and I might get a little bit of a bigger brush than this. This is the Bohong Academy paper, and it's very much a whole lot like Arch paper, the Academy paper. This is Bohong student grade, and honestly, it's just as good as the professional Arch's paper. Their regular grade paper is much coarser, and I do use that as well. Their coarse paper is extremely coarse. So if you're looking for a painting with lots and lots and lots of texture in it, that's a great paper to use. It takes a special painting to use that paper. We'll use that sometime, and I'll show y'all that sometimes the paper, well, most of the time the paper makes a difference. But this one probably has about the same feel as the Arch paper does. It's probably just a little bit softer in texture, but so minutely that you can barely tell. So I'm going to come on down to probably about her bum on both sides here. I do apologize for the background noise, guys. It's going to eventually get a little bit louder. Just go right over top of whatever is in the background here. Now I'm going to go back and hit up the areas and bring my light down some. Oops, sorry about that. It really helps to have very adequate lighting. I'm on a block today, so all this water is let's start up at the top here. And I'm just going to put in some color. And I'm not trying to be perfect here. I'm not trying to create perfect clouds because this is a busy picture. We're gonna leave some areas that are untouched and let the water take some of this, and we'll just see how we like it. And if we like it, we'll leave it. With clouds, the closer they are to you, the larger they're going to be. That makes sense, right? And the further they are from you, the smaller they're going to be. And we'll get lighter as we come down. Try to get it on there before your paper starts to dry. And of course, this will dry pretty quickly. Got a lot of pigment right here. All right, I'm not going to leave a cloud coming off the side of my paper. I feel like that carries the eye off of the painting. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a perfect line here, guys. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a damp brush and pull down like this, because we're going to have lots of other colors. Let our sky kind of easily fade off so that we don't have a hard line. Just let that easily fade. I came over and I sat and I realized that I forgot to take my morning meds. Some mornings I just get so busy, and I'm still trying to get back into my routine. So I went over and I took my meds, and all is well. Now, if you want to, you can take a paper towel and you can pop in a couple of extra clouds. And paper towel is a wonderful tool. Okay. Let me see what y'all are saying. Good morning, Vicki. Morning, Denise. Good, I'm glad y'all can't hear them. The lawnmowers aren't on this side right now, but they eventually will be. Let's see, I gotta get my edges here up next to my lady, so we don't have hard lines there. I got some paint in my brush. So if you have areas that need to be touched up, get a smaller brush and take care of that real quick before this completely dries. Because something like a subject matter like this is easier to go ahead and take care of it now than it will be later. Not that it can't be done, it can be. So what's everybody up to today? Excuse me. Right now we're going to dry. So Monday and Tuesday when we were live, we talked about doing something more for, Mother's Day-ish type stuff. And so this is a start to that concept. Just some things that we know moms like to do, enjoy doing. We're just going to go right ahead and get all of this dry. And we'll get our corners a little bit darker here in a minute. It's always good to have your corners darker. What it does is it pulls the eye into the center of the painting, into the subject matter. Try not to leave heat on your masking fluid area. All right, I'm going to take my small brush here, and I'm going to take a little bit of this blue that we used, and I'm going to come down right over top of that. And it wasn't perfect. I got some blue down here, and that's okay because it'll be a darker edge down here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Testing the back of our painting, it's nowhere near being dry. We used a lot of water, so. Oh, I hope it feels better soon, Sherry. Printers can be funny things, can't they? Funny, funny things. All right, if it's not perfectly dry, I'll be okay with that. All righty, let's see. I'm going to take some of my yellow ochre, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my palette and put some water in that. And I'm going to start my first layer on her hair. So I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to come here. This is her braid. Okay. All right, I'm trying to decide what color I want her overalls or bibs to be. And let's see. Just something fun. I want a fun color. But all right, I'm going to take some sienna, actually. I have a big brush. So I've got a little bit of paint on a big brush. And I'm going to start with my sienna as my base layer. Go ahead and put this on her bibs. You can use whatever colors you'd like. I want the bottom and around where the flower or the foliage is going to be. I want that to be pretty loose. So I'm going to leave the bottom of my area pretty loose. And what that means is that I want it to have some edges or some stopping points that aren't your typical stopping point, so that they're kind of lost and found. And I'm going to go ahead and lay a little bit of darker color where we've got bends and creases. Back to my smaller brush, I'm going to take some of this sienna. I think I want her hair to be a little bit on the auburn side. So I'm going to try to mix up some of a pretty auburn color. I'm going to use my sienna to do this. Maybe this color, a little bit of Indian red mixed in. Let's see what we get. It's kind of it might be okay. Let me see. Put some extra water in it and see what we got. I need a piece of paper to show you what we've got here. Let's see. Scrap paper. This is the problem with cleaning up your desk. Oh, you put everything away. So we got burnt sienna and Indian red. We'll try this for the next layer. We're going to deepen this again here shortly. So I'm going to leave some of this that we've already laid down. So this is the reason why we do layers in our watercolor, is we want to leave some of these areas that we've already left, that we've already dropped down. And that looks very rad on the paper. I'm going to go ahead and pull down some of these trails of color here. And I probably should have waited on that one because we've got to do her face yet. All right, I'm going to take some of my little touch of brown in that mixture and darken that off some. That's pretty. That's a warm, rich color. It's not so harsh. I'm going to take this color. I'm going to go right up next to and under her hat where I'm going to see a shadow. Now this is still wet. It's still wet, so I hope so. I hope that you will. All right, so to mix skin tones, the colors that you generally want and that you can use to mix just about any skin tone, you want some yellow ochre, some alizarin crimson. Of course, that's very dark. Of course, we only want just a tiny bit. And some sienna. You also can use a little touch of blue, so we're going to use, I'm not sure what color blue this is, but it's a cobalt blue for shadows. You can also use a little bit of green, which you can mix by using your your yellow ochre and your blue and or your sienna and blue instead of introducing an outside green. Okay, so these are some of the colors you're going to use for just about any skin type. Doesn't matter which. Some you'll just add more of others, but if you add all three of your, like your yellow, your red, and your blue together, you're going to get a dark tone. Adding sienna in there is going to warm it up. So you can make a black skin tone by just using these three here. You can make a fair skin tone depending on how much of the proportions of this that you're going to need. So yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, raw sienna, and I've got cobalt blue here. Okay, so those are the colors that you can use to make any skin tone that you want to use. I'm going to see about mixing some up and finding a skin tone that I enjoy using. I'm going to lift up all this blue I put down. And I'm going to go ahead and get her skin tone in. Let's see here. So I'm going to take some of my sienna. And your pile can get really big with color if you're not careful trying to get the color that you want. But get yourself a scrap piece of paper. You're going to use a lot of paint at the beginning trying to make the skin color that you want. And it's going to look a lot darker than you think it's going to. But because these colors are fugitive, all three of these are very fugitive colors, they're going to fade out as you you just want a very small amount of the red. Very small. Don't go in with the least amount as possible. Don't go too heavy on it, because you can see that it can get very pigmented. All right, I'm going to add a little bit more touch of my pink. I put some sienna in it. And let's see what we've got. It looks very close to that. Let's put a little water in with that and see what we've got. So that's a really pretty skin tone right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some of this. Cover all her skin. If your brush dries out, just dip the tip of your brush in your water. Don't dip your whole brush. You still have a lot of paint on your brush, believe it or not. By rinsing it away in your water, you're wasting paint. So just add a little bit of water onto your edge. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to try and make this unsplotchy now, the way I put it in. I just have a damp brush. I'm just going over it and smoothing everything out. Okay, we're going to take that same color. I'm glad it's helpful. That's what we're doing this for. Let's get off the struggle bus with watercolor, right? I have a true belief that this is what God wants me to do, guys. I want to help you. I can remember what it was like trying to learn. Now, I had a very good instructor at first, but I wasn't with her very long. The group that I was in began to have some issues. Not her group, but another group. And it all got kind of dramatic. And I'm not about dramatic. All right. I'm going to drop some down right here, just a little bit where her palm is, because I know that that's going to be a little bit darker. Okay. All right. And we're going to let that go ahead and fade and do its thing. And we'll come back to all of that later. All right. We're going to add a little bit more brown to the hair color. I don't want to add any more water to the hair color because this is my third layer. All right. Here's something else I'm going to teach you guys. Okay. There are 3 consistencies to paint. And sometimes a watercolor is going to take at least 3 to 5 layers. At least 3 to 5 layers to build from the very bottom up. You don't want to rush in with a very strong, heavy color. That's not what watercolor is. Watercolor is about taking advantage of the luminosity and the transparency of the paint. So like for this background, this color here, the sky, I probably will just go on and I'll put another bit of color just up here in the corners. But it's going to be a little bit darker than what this color is. So that'll be a second layer. And after that, I probably won't need anything more for the sky. But that's kind of an exception to things. But with everything else, you're going to need 3 to 5 layers of color. So there's consistencies and water control. So trying to decide how to show y'all what I want to show y'all. Okay. Let's see if I've got enough space. Let me do it on one of these. One of my side notes, guys, okay? And we'll come back to the painting while we let that dry. You see, I have 1,000 of these little porcelain things laying around my studio because I rarely get rid of the paint that's on it. If I need that paint, I can reach over and grab that paint off of it. It's already mixed, it's usable, and I can certainly make good use of it. But we're going to get rid of this just for y'all, so I can show y'all what I need to show you. All right, consistencies. Write this down. Tea, milk, honey. Hi, Sandy. Good morning, Brenda. So tea, T-E-A, milk, and honey. Those are the 3 consistencies of watercolor paint that you want. I'm going to use some of my alizarin crimson here to show y'all. All right, so I'm going to use some of this, and we're going to add. Okay, so you see how this is really moving? See how that is? That's about the consistency of tea. Okay? This is still moving. See how that's moving? This is about the consistency of milk. See how easily that shifts and moves around? Okay. With honey, it's not going to move at all. You see that? How, well, around the center. Let's do it on this one. See how that is? It's sticky, it's gloppy, it's not going to move. And it's very rich in color. So tea, milk, honey. Okay? That's what you want. And that's what's going to build your layers. So you're not going to use this layer first because it's opaque. This one's more semi-opaque, and this one's very, very translucent. But with all 3 of these, you're still going to see all the bottom layers under it. And you don't have to use all the same color to achieve that, as you can see. Sometimes I'm mixing and keeping that color in it, but I'm mixing other colors from that color so that I can show some consistency in my work. But I wanted to show y'all so that you would understand how I'm kind of coming up with the depth of, and how I'm moving forward and layering all of this. I got a little bit of a hard line right here, so I'm going to soften that off with a soft brush. I'm going to come back and add some color here, and I'm going to take just the tip of my brush, pull down. Okay. All right, with my skin tone that I mixed, I'm going to add just a little bit more red. That's way too much. Use just a little bit more red. And when I use that little bit more red, there's certain areas of the face I'm going to touch, like the apple of her cheek. And that looks really rough right now, but then you're going to come back with the water and soften this off. And come up a little bit across her forehead. Okay. And then I'm going to take where this is dry, go back, and right along where the shirt is, add a little bit of line right there. And right in there. Damp brush here. Take that same bit and near her sleeves. This is just adding slight shadows with a damp brush. I'm going to come back and follow up. I'm glad it helped, Sherry. I'm going to take a little bit of this color, which is part of her skin tone, really, and I'm going to tap on the inside of her ear, and I'm going to come back later and fix this a little bit more and darken it off a little bit. Now I'm going to take I'm also going to use smaller brushes a lot of the times when I move from those concentrations of paint, because I'm using less of a honey consistency paint. I'm going to take my red, Indian red, and my brown. I'm going to mix a color together there. I'm going to start making some texture in her hair. I'm using a much smaller brush. And you can see here that we're using a much more honey-based, honey consistency in our paint with some highlights there. And I'm going to leave some of that to dry. Use this right here. And I'm going to pull down. I'm going to continue to leave some of that we had already pulled down, because I want to see those lighter colors that we used earlier as well as part of our hair. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take a damp brush, because this is starting dry, and I'm just going to wet over top of that and pull it together so it's not so. There we go. Smaller brush. Whoops. I'm going to go straight into my brown here. Just a damp brush and softening that off so that it's not so hard. Sometimes when we use the honey consistency paint, it can go on looking very harsh. We definitely need to go back in and soften that off. Push and pull in some areas. Okay. I'm just going to use my little fine brush. I'm going to turn my paper so that I can reach what I'm doing. And I'm going to go straight into my alizarin crimson. And I'm going to use somewhere between honey and milk consistency. Making sure I have no water on my ferrule at all. I'll fill in this top lip. And I'm going to just wet that brush, tap off, and then just use a lighter color at the bottom. The bottom lip is going to be lighter than the top lip. Dropping my brushes everywhere. All right. I'm sorry, guys. Allergies got me good today. Oh, thanks, Sandy. Hey, Carol. All right, let's put in eyelashes. Okay, eyelashes. We're just going to do a straight line. My hand jumped and I got a little bit further over than I wanted to here. Let's see if I can pull that off. There we go. All right. I'm going into my hair color. And I'm going to make a little bit of an eyebrow. Okay. So she doesn't really need to have a ton of lashes, but just adding, you know, a little bit of a line there will help. Let's see. Again, I touched in the wrong area. Okay. All right, there's usually a slight shadow underneath of the bottom lip. So we're going to use our skin tone and a little bit, let's try a little bit of our blue. And I'm only using a very small brush. I picked up way too much blue. But because we're outside, we're going to use this color. We're going to use a little bit there. And I'm going to use a little bit of this color right here. and under the ear and hair. I'll take a slightly larger brush and soften that off with just water. Let's do that. Use that same color here, right here. It doesn't look, you don't see blue in this at all, do you? But mixing up in those colors in the right proportions, and it's going to take you practicing some to get that the way you want it. I'm going to go back and revisit underneath this lip. Go under her nose, around her nose, right here. And then with just some of the brown, I think. This tip is a little large. It's not my regular. Let's use this one. This is a 5/0. Get up closer. And I'm really not making a hole. I'm just kind of touching that line to give her a little bit of a nostril there. Okay. And we could go in, we'll leave it this way, with just our brown if we'd like, with more of a milk or a honey consistency. I'm going to go, oops, I stuck my hand in it. Just adding more texture here in her hair. And really, the more of this you use, the prettier it gets. Leaving a lot of those colors that we've already put down, leave them. Use my Okay, I'm going to take some of this. Up here. Pulling down using my rigger, which is the long skinny brush here. Okay. Oops, wrong brush. Grab the wrong brush. I'll pull some of this back on the top edge of these. I'm going to try to keep that somewhat light. We're also going to kind of keep our braid soft as well. I'm going to take and go ahead and paint my hat here. I'm going to use just my brown, and I'm going to use very much milk consistency at first. Lots of water. This is an umber, burnt umber, or raw umber, whichever one is not the red. That's still a little bit deeper than what I wanted to go with it, but it'll lighten up. All right, so I'm going to take, before I get to the top, I'm just going to rinse my brush and just use water here. See the difference? okay to go a little bit darker down here. And then I'm just going to add water to my brush. And these areas here, I'm just going to keep very light because they're getting full exposure to the sun here for the most part. Got a little blue in my hat right here. I'm going to, we'll see about doing something with that later. Hey, Mary Ellen. It's okay. Good for you. I'm going to put the shadow back here. Just water here. Pull up. I got a lot of water on my brush here. On the bottom side of her hair, or her braid here, I'm going to go ahead and pull down some of that auburn color. Go ahead and pull some up with your paper towel if you need to. And we'll work on that some more in a minute. Okay. I still haven't really decided 100% on her bib overalls. All right, for these leaves and such, all right, with the water, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to take some of my Payne's Gray now. I'm going to mix some of that, a touch of that blue in it that we've been using. I'm going to come down here. Just here and there. See how it looks so lumpy and bumpy where I have that masking? That's really going to pop later on when we... All right, so what I want to do now is I want to start filling in some of these leaves. I'm going to pull in some... I've got some green from yesterday, from Monday's painting. I'm going to mix some various yellows in with it, maybe some oranges and blues, maybe other colors. We'll see. And we're going to start... when you're doing something that involves a lot of foliage, sometimes you want to keep things minimalistic. So I just spattered some drawn leaves up here. And the rest of it's going to be very abstract or impressionistic. But we're going to fill in what few leaves we have. In various shades of green. And I'm not going to fiddle with the leaves. I'm not going to add a bunch of, or a ton of veins and that kind of thing. I'm going to take some of this really light yellowy green here. And some of this I might want to just make a really light, weird green, blue-green. Go ahead and get some of this down. So I'll be spending the rest of my day getting ready for my seated class tomorrow. I said I wasn't going to be this picky about my leaves, and here I am trying to do it. I've gotten to be a little OCD about things. It just is what it is. And you can go around your paper using whatever color you have mixed or that's on your brush and scatter it about your page, and then mix another color and do the same thing. Okay, I have it. It's a little wetter than I wanted it to be. Sometimes you need to just take a thirsty brush, meaning a brush that's damper than what's on the paper, to go back and pick up some of the fluid in the paint that you just put down. It happens. I enjoy being very loose, but I always find myself being drawn to trying to figure something out. I enjoy being a problem solver and the process of it. That could be from all the years of nursing, I don't know, or even being a mom, right? It just gives you a little boost in confidence. See how we're kind of scattering about the different colors of green? I'm going to add just a touch of purple to some of this green. And a touch of purple means a lot of purple. Purple can be, it can overtake things, so be very careful when your brush picks up purple, because it can get quite, it can overtake things. And the things that are in the back or facing away from you that shouldn't be in focus, like these leaves back here, are not going to be as prominent, so try to keep them light. The things in the background are usually lighter. Purple will take the intensity of the color green and knock it down a notch. So it's a good way to desaturate your greens and make them look more natural than what comes in your tins of paint. There's really no manufacturer that makes a really pretty good natural green. All right, just going to take some water here. I'm not even trying to be perfect. I'm leaving some white spots on some of these, so. Okay, oops, we got one more over here. Let's do our, let's see if we can figure out what color we want to do. Let's do our shirt a light blue. Let's use ultramarine blue. very light. I'm just going to go ahead and paint the whole thing right now. A base coat with my milk consistency. And our collar. Okay. I'm going to go into a deeper blue now, more of a milk consistency. I'm going to go ahead and put in some of these shadows. While this is still wet, we can allow that to continue to move a little bit. Of course, there's going to be a crease right here. It's going to continue to go up. I'm going to have shadows everywhere. I'm going to put right here and under her collar. Sorry if this is driving y'all nuts with me turning the paper. I have my light down so far, it's right in my way. And we're going right underneath of the collar here. Okay, straight into just adding some detail on her braid. Just adding a little bit of shading as we come to the underside is going to help give this a slight little bit. It doesn't have to be much, but of some dimension here. It's important. It's every element. This is where you find yourself starting to get very OCD. You really have to look at everything. Okay. I think I'm going to make kind of a terracotta color for her bibs. So I'm going to use some red and orange and some burnt umber, or raw umber, excuse me. I might have just added way too much of that. Ooh, that's a pretty color. Let's see. Let's see what this looks like. Look at that. Ooh, yes. Yeah, you can get just some cheap tiny brushes. It doesn't have to be expensive. Be careful going around your hands and stuff. And I'm just going to let some of this, my brush run dry on some of this. Because remember down here, I want this to stay pretty lost and found. I don't want to have a specific beginning and ending. I'm even leaving some spots where you can see that undercolor. See how I've left that up at the top there? I think that's important to really just be loose. I really like loose aspects of my very controlled painting, where I'm just back and forth with it, and I do it where I can do it comfortably. Come back here and, oops, I went outside the line. Okay. It's something everyone does. Sherry, these are just some cheap tiny brushes. These are called Micro Minis. I have some really nice ones. These are like Da Vinci's. This is a Da Vinci Cosmotop Spin. Just about everybody makes them, but honestly, you don't need this is a watercolor brush. This one's just an everything brush. You just want something with a very sharp point. See how tiny that point is? And these you do have to be replaced often because they lose their point quicker than anything else, but keeping them on hand is key. It is key. All right, let's work on her hat a little bit more. And I'm just going to go into my brown. I'm going to come right here. And right where her head meets this hat, it's going to be dark. So we're going to pull it out from that very deep edge inside and then just use water. I'm going to come towards it because I don't want to spread that out too dark. This is a really big mat here. Go back to my smaller brush, and I'm working with 2 brushes in my hand. Just really keep that dark. And then right here where that hat turns and bends towards the back of the head, so it's under the hair and around the neck, we need to go back in and add some more darker brown there as well. Okay, I'm going to take my small detail brush here. I'm going to take this small detail brush and I'm just going to scrub it up on my see how it's getting that texture? I'm actually going to pull some of this up because there we go. I'm going to do the same thing for the top. Do some more here. I'm using a small brush because it runs out of paint so quickly. And this area right here bends a little bit, so we're going to darken that. I didn't like the way that was looking too much, so I'm going to fix it. Okay. And I'm just being very loose with this because this is just a straw hat, right? We're just trying to mimic. We're just letting this go to a dry brush. Just like that. Sherry? Oh my goodness. All right, so we've got some hair that's coming down right here. We need to capture those. I think I'm going to use my rigger. See how fine those lines get? And we'll just leave it like that. And we need to darken the bottom of this hat right here, this whole triangle. This is the bottom of this hat. And some of these colors are going to look pretty close to one another. Just take your time. I'm not loving this color. I'll probably go a lot richer with it. Good. That's awesome, Sherry, because that means that you're feeling what you want to. You're in your mind. You're creating what you like to see in art, and that's good. All right, so I'm going to take now and go into these shadows around this shirt once again, and some of these areas that are in the deeper shadows. I'm going to take some of my ultramarine blue, some of my Payne's gray here, and we're going to really build some of this shadowing. Now, some of this will be in just a wet brush here. See how I made that collar rise up? I love when that happens. That's exciting. Okay. All these tiny little details that you don't normally think about. I'm gonna come back here. This is, I don't know how I put skin tone back there, but that's what this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna Payne's gray here with a little touch of that blue. See that bead of water standing right at the edge of my ferrule? With these detail brushes, you will get that often, and it will drop onto your work, and it will cause problems. It will drop a bead of water on drying watercolor, and it will cause a bloom. And y'all saw the problem I had. Yes, was it? No, it was Tuesday trying to get the bloom in my sky fixed. It can be a real pain to fix that. Got a hard line right here. I'm gonna fix that. Got a little blue on my brush, but that's okay because we use this blue in the skin tone, and it's going to be okay. I'm not going to go full on color, but I'm going to come back and add color in certain places here. Just adding water. Use a smaller brush. I'm going just underneath of these fingers. Water, just to soften that off. think I'm going to come up here a little bit too. Might add some splashes of red. I wonder where this brush got to underneath my thing. Whoops, I got outside of the line. This red is mixed in the terracotta, so it'll work with what we've got going on. I like that a little bit better, honestly. Okay, well, let's get on in our little jar here. All right, so we're going to do our hole first. Look at there. Okay, our watering can, we're just going to move about. And this is just a really rough sketch, guys. It's not meant to be super perfect. Okay. Smaller brush. Go around the handle with your shadow because it's drawn as a two-dimensional object, but we're making it three-dimensional. So it needs to have some shadowing around it. I put a little shadow. I just pulled a little shadow across where the handle is making a shadow there. All right, let's fun it up a little bit because I'm me. And let's see. Make some little rusty bits. We're just making some rusty bits. I'm just gonna fix that. Give that to our and that talks back to her bib overalls and her hair. Okay. Gotta get started on a commission sometime as well. A little bit of this over here. That's right. All these plants need the iron, though. They're loving all the rust from the iron. iron from the rust, I should say. You could also put some let's see, some turquoise in this would be pretty. Okay, we're going to leave that for now. Come back up here though, and my Payne's Gray is starting to lighten up. Get that water off my brush. Don't come all the way down, guys. Just leave a little highlight in the can so that you can see light within the can. Okay, I'm going to take just a couple of larger brushes. How do you think she's coming along? Okay. All right, so let me clean off my palette here. I've got so much fun up here. I need to mix some greens. Okay. Thank you, Sherry. We're gonna get there. I might add some more of this red here and there, but I want to get some of this negative painting done first. I'm going to take and mix some of my colors here. I'm going to put some Pearland green. I'm going to mix some with a lot of water. I'm just going to do some of this, tapping some up here for right now. And then I'm just going to push my brush around, leaving some white space. It's even still a little bit brighter than what I want it to be. Just pushing my brush here and there. Kind of pushing. Notice how I'm just kind of tapping about. I'm going to add a lot of yellow. Just going to paint in this loose color here and there. I'm going to pull in some of this color we used as well into her overalls and pull some of this down in this way. to find the ground level here. Some of this will get covered back over again with darker greens, but we're just going to go put it in for right now so I can keep track of where I'm putting my horizon line. Very loosely, being very loosely here. All right, let's add a little bit more green here. I want to keep that sky behind. Okay, and then we start building some of the foreground. So I'm going to take some of this and pretty loosely pull in a plant here. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad, Sandy. Do you paint watercolor? Or have you ever tried watercolor? All right, I'm going to go ahead and put some more perylene, which is basically a color that's in my palette. It can be altered to be a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. Put a little bit more of my Payne's Gray as well. All right. $50-50. Oh, me. We might have Sherry on the floor here. Notice I'm coming up in this situation because I don't want all that color. If I come down to soften that line, then I'm going to be spreading that color downward. And that's not necessarily what I want. I want to come up towards it. So I'm not spreading all that color around. Tapping. Hey, Sherry. All right, moving to a more standard size brush. This one is a 6 or 8. This one was a 10, I think. So a little big for what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to set that one aside. And I know we're going really, really long. These paintings just don't, they just take a long time. I'm going to start adding in some darker color here. I'm going to leave some of that, and I'm just going to start making shapes of foliage, potential foliage, very loose. What I'm doing is adding in some green here so that the shapes that are behind it with the lighter colors are being left as foliage. So it's very loose, very impressionistic. And you can see I just drew a leaf right there by putting all the dark around it. And I'm going to take and pull in some of this ground color that we used over here. Down here as well. Just leaving lots of those undercolors alone. I like having some of those hard lines like that against these colors that I'm using lots of loose. I'm going to pull. Some of these brushes have better lifting power than others, and you can lift off foliage. Okay, we're just going to leave that for now. I'm going to come back over here. And where I need dark shadow, I'm going to put it. This is still pretty wet. You'll start kind of seeing some of this come about. And I'm just using very abstract shapes for leaves left, kind of leaves that are left behind here. I'm just going to wet this and bring some of that color into these very stark leaves. I'm going to use some brown, green. Coming towards. I'll take a little paper towel and lift some of that. Okay. We're just making a mess, and it looks very odd right now, but it will come together, and it takes a lot of time to do this. We're filling in the shadow areas, and you can carve out extra by either lifting or you'll see it starting to, where she's standing in some of the foliage here. When I come down to the bottom where these two colors meet, I'm just keeping it soft right now. I'm not leaving this a hard line. I'm kind of taking and adding a little wet brush towards it and bringing it down. And using this dark color to go around these leaves that we've already painted in is going to help those leaves to stand out. And these leaves are a little bit less abstract than the ones that we put down here. Some of them are still quite impressionistic, but we got some leaves that are overlapping one another. So on those leaves, we do have to do something a little different to them and add a little shadow where they overlap to separate them. And for those, this area here that we did, these very loose taps, you can come into those and shape them a little bit more by adding little more taps of this dark. And I'm still adding leaves. I'm still carving in from my background and adding extra leaves. See how those leaves are starting to pop up? You don't have to do all this negative cutting and moving around. You can go ahead and put as many leaves as you want to, and then do it that way, and then cut in around it with your negative painting. I'm leaving some edges that are a little bit like foliage coming off of the page. See these lighter leaves peeking through that I just went around, carved through. As they come up this way, they're going to be lighter as well. So just try to keep that in mind. Got some green on my can. I'm going to use my small brush now and kind of get around some of these details. You don't want your white paper showing. We have we got some vines and some stems that are kind of showing through all this detail. So we want to try to capture those as much as we can. Made a mess up here. So I'm just going through the same process over and over again. And it does take doing this pretty regularly to start training your eye as to what you want to look like a leaf. And see how I just carved that out of nothing? It looks like I've got a leaf here and a leaf right there that's kind of popping out from under the shadows. So we're going to work around our can here. Oops, sorry for knocking the camera. I'm going around that the water that's dripping right now, and there's a couple of leaves that are there. Okay, I'm just going to pull this down. This is probably already dry, and I've got a hard line. Sometimes it can be hard when you get to this stage you really just have to look at these leaves and decide where your shadows need to be to make certain things stand out. So sometimes you need to step back and look. I'm just taking a small brush here. You see how that's starting to pop? I'm going to see if I can do something in that area there. Thank you, Linda. I'm going to sharpen up some of these lines here. Some of these they just need more attention, these leaves do. All right, let's go in here and make this a lot darker. We're going to be taking our masking fluid off here shortly. Just take your time and cover your bases. And I've got green on my hand, so I'm transferring it. There we go. I'm going to come over here and just lightly pull these out a little bit because these are going to be less in shadow. I want their shadows to be a little less obvious. Just get that white off the paper where you need to. I'm trying not to carry this one to next week because it's, you know, we'll want to move on. We want to get more Mother's Day stuff in. So these do take a long time, but they're worth it in the end. Thank you, Sherry. Oops, I keep hitting it. And I can work and work and work and work on this. I can spend days doing this, but I mean, there's no need to do that. This is really supposed to be more of a loose, impressionistic feel to this. You need to really make sure all this is dry before you take your masking off. Y'all can do this, I know you can. All right, let's see. All right, I'm just going to take my finger and hopefully you can see the highs and lows in the water, and I'm going to work on it a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of blue and go down this back side of it. And it's all because we added the masking in a chunk, like, you know, like we dabbed it more or less, other than. I'm going to add a little bit of this to this side as well. Just a little bit. Be careful. You don't want to add too much to this side. Okay, just like that. And that is our water. You can add some more gray, but this is such a thin line. I think I'm going to just leave it like that for right now. I'm going to add some of this color into here. A little white. I need to work on this side a little bit more. Some of this on this side. I'm going to take this and move it up some. Pushing that this direction, the darker green. It looks like there's plants coming up from behind. All right, and then I'm going to This got, I did not go back and soften that off, but there we go. We got it now. Not a fan of some of the colors of these leaves. I'm glazing over them with the color on my brush. Sometimes when these leaves dry, use some of my Payne's Gray in this color. Okay, I'm going to pill around some with her body, but I'm going to do it off screen, but this will take you guys pretty forward, and I hope that it was a great learning, I hope that it was a great learning scenario for y'all that y'all could work through, and in general, I hope you have a great day. I've got a meeting I need to go to, so with Sherry, and I'm going to hop off of here, and I'm going to reestablish some of my rust, put some more dark inside of my can, do just some piddly things that I'm going to do some sort of leaf structure down here in between, shadowing on her hands, just little stuff like that, so that you guys can think of it when you're working on yours, and I will post mine when it's done. Ugh. I got some red on her hand, but I think it'll be okay. I can. But anyways, y'all have a fabulous day and a fabulous weekend. Love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye.